So let's cover the remaining questions that we were being sent beforehand. And I'm very much looking forward to that. So we were just talking about the career opportunities. We received a lot of times this question, and we would love to hear what are the career opportunities in Spain and in Europe after graduating from an InnoEnergy master's program.
Yeah, so here's a few things related to that question. First of all, we have a career center, a dedicated career center of InnoEnergy, whose job is to connect students with the companies that we support, the startups, the innovators, and so on. So that's basically their prime focus, together with preparing students to find a good job. So that means not only CV preparation, but also how to pitch themselves, how to develop soft skills. So they have a program that's the Career Impact Program that focuses on developing those soft skills. So that's the first part. So students receive the support from our career center. And that career center, in the second point, we have a dedicated job board, which actually shares all the vacancies from our startups and the ventures that we work with. There we have every year about 400 vacancies published. And out of those, some 25% are actually in Spain, because we have a very broad network over there.
Oh, wow, that's a quarter.
Yeah, one quarter. So it's really good if you think that we're actually operating in many other countries. But the operations that we have in Spain are quite large. So that's a significant portion of our efforts. Mm-hmm. And then also, as I was mentioning earlier, we have 27 current startups that are supported by InnoEnergy in Spain alone. And we try to connect students with those. So what does this all result in? So basically, we have 92% of our students finding a job within 6 months after graduation. So that's pretty quick. And more than 70% staying in Europe. Mm-hmm. And now, to give you an idea, usually our class is some 60% of non-European students, so 40% European students. And overall, as a whole, 70% of our students find a job in Europe within, they stay in Europe working, so not even within a period of time. More than 70%. I don't know how the statistics for that look like in Spain normally, but at least here in the Netherlands, I would say some 20 or 30% of the students stay in the Netherlands afterwards, not remotely close to 70%.
Mm-hmm. So like one question comes to mind, and that's actually my question and not from one of the students, but I'm sure it's interesting. So like all these things that you just mentioned, the Career Accelerator Program, your connections, postings of relevant job positions in the EU, the mentorship program, the soft skill development, is that all included in one of the programs, or is this something we have to pay extra for?
No, it's included in all the programs. So these are part of the added value activities that we as InnoEnergy offer our students, which normally they wouldn't get if they go straight to the university.
Yeah, I think it sounds like a really great deal, to be honest. Like if I was an engineer, I think this is what I'd be going for. And we just received another question from Mr. Ted. He says, I'm currently studying Masters in Power Engineering and Management. I hold a bachelor degree in Electrical Engineering, and I'm really interested in a couple of your programs like Smart Cities and Sustainable Energy. Your comment was cut off, but I think that's it. So yeah, like Smart Cities and Sustainable Energy are in fact programs that are offered in Spain, right, Javier?
Yeah, you're right, Tom. Those programs are offered in Spain. And not only that, I think, of course, we would have to look at the courses, the GPA that the student has, and so on. But someone with an electrical engineering background and who's also doing a master's in power engineering is very well suited, in principle, for both programs. Of course, it would depend on the motivation and the English test, so he would have to fulfill other criteria. But in principle, he could be eligible.
Okay, sounds good. And also he's asking, is it advisable to take up your program as a second master's degree? Because he already has one. Why should he get a second one?
I guess it depends a lot on what you want to do with it, right? So, and please back me up here, Tom, because I think you have the same experience. If students are not from Spain and they want to have a job in Spain, it's better to have a local degree. So even if it's a second master, I would suspect that it's better to just do your second master on a complementary topic in the country where you want to work. It's more difficult just to move to a country if you don't really have the education from that country.
So this is absolutely true. You are very much more likely to get a job by a local or international company that is based in Spain if you have studied in one of their universities. For example, in Spain, once you graduate, you are eligible to have a stay back visa for 12 months, which we also call job seekers visa, because it makes you able to look for your job, and you have 12 months to get a job offer, which is very likely if you have one of these highly coveted degrees from InnoEnergy. So after that, you would be finding a job. And I'm going to transition here into another question that we got, like, how does it look like with the immigration in Spain? So you can absolutely do your first year in Spain or your second year in Spain. And then once you graduate, you come here, you find a job, and you will have 12 months for that. And then you work for a while, for around 4 years, and you can apply for permanent residency in Spain. And with this kind of visa, you can work anywhere in Europe, even before you can work anywhere in Europe. But if you decide to stay in Spain, which is a very good choice, it's an awesome country, you can work here for 10 years, and then you can even apply for.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that it arrived.
Because many people want to know what so they want to they want to choose the country where they're going to study. Yeah, they want to choose the country where they have that opportunity, right?
That's absolutely right. And we have received a question beforehand from Mojad, who had asked, he has studied petroleum engineering and he wants to pursue a master's in any other major. Is there an opportunity also for petroleum engineers? Is this something you would consider? Is there a master that you would recommend to Mojad?
Yeah. So there's two masters that I can think of. So one is the Masters in Sustainable Energy Systems, because in the first year it's much more general about sustainable energy, so it can help him transition into this new field. Of course, he has some background already. Petroleum engineering is energy, but you know, it's of course different source of energy. So that's one. And as we've discussed before, this one is available in Spain, both year one and year two, so they can. He can choose when he wants to study in Spain. And the other program that could be suitable for him is the Masters in Energy Transition. Unfortunately, this one is not offered in Spain. This one is Poland and Portugal. But it's basically for students who want to understand how the transition from traditional fossil fuels takes place into a more, say, more sustainable ways of producing energy. And that's why it's done in Poland and then in Portugal, because Poland is still pretty much coal dependent and coal producing country, whereas Portugal is much more focused on wind and solar energy.
Well, thanks for this detailed answer. I'm sure Mojad appreciates it and can start the applications next month. And another question, and I think this is a burning question for everybody here in the audience, you offer scholarships. And so like on the one side, we have the tuition fees. I know you have partial scholarships. You have full scholarships for a certain percentage of students. Could you talk a little bit about the eligibility criteria? Who is getting these scholarships and how much are the scholarships?
Yeah. So what happens here is that everybody who applies is ranked based on the program they apply to, and they are ranked based on different criteria. For example, their GPA. The Bachelor of Studies that they have followed, whether it's really suitable for that program or not. If it's really not suitable, then of course they won't be admitted, but how suitable it is, right? the English proficiency, and also the motivation with regards to innovation and entrepreneurship, because that's really what we want to foster. And based on that ranking, a selection is made of who is going to receive scholarships. But that, of course, depends on one, how many people apply for a program, two, how many scholarships are available for that program. Say the full scholarship, the full waivers, where we actually give grants to students of 750 euros a month, which I think is a great opportunity, is reserved for the best 2 or 3 applicants of each program for the entire year. So we're talking that a program can have 400 applicants or 300 applicants, and then 2 or 3 persons are going to be chosen as the best to receive this scholarship. This doesn't mean that there is no chance of getting the scholarship, and I mean you should always try, of course. But then you put things in perspective, and that's really hard to get. What's much more feasible is to obtain a partial waiver, which is basically given to about 20% of the class. And that depends on where you study. So if you did your studies at a top European university, including our partner universities, then you can get a significant partial waiver. So you have to pay only 5,000 euros a year. If you're not graduated from a top European university, then you can get a partial waiver of 8,000 euros. So that means that you would have to pay 10,000 euros. But the principle is the same. The principle of basically rating the students and making a ranking out of this applies to all programs, and that's how students get selected to get scholarships.
Okay, so just to wrap this up again in a digestible answer as well. So like we have a full scholarship for some students, which are the top students, and we have a partial scholarships. And I'm like, correct me if I'm wrong, did you just say for 20% of the applicants? So that's every 5th student?
20% of the class, more or less, yeah. 1 out of 5 students. So a partial waiver is a very feasible opportunity, actually.
Okay, wow. That's a lot more than a lot of universities can say about themselves. And I think it's also important here to mention again that you guys are funded by the EU Commission and have all associated rights with that, and for that can also offer these scholarships. So that's really great.
Yeah, actually, Tom, the cost of our programs is significantly higher than what students actually pay, and that's only possible because the support that we receive from the EIT, which is our funding body.
So just also to give an example here, so for every degree that is being studied in Spain, for example, you would study also for a few soft skill courses at ESADE Business School, which is one of the 15 top business schools in the world. So they say them in the same name with Harvard and Yale Business School. In the same wavelength, you would also say ESADE. And this is included in the price. And just to give you an idea, an MBA at ESADE can be around 100,000 euros. And this main courses that are extracted from the MBA program are included in the InnoEnergy program, just to give a little bit of an idea here.
Yeah, exactly. And not only ESADE, we also work with other institutions across Europe, but in the case of Spain, ESADE is a very important partner for us.
So before the live, there's another question that we have received multiple times, and it was about the coronavirus. It's something unfortunate, something grave we have to deal with on a global scale, not just in Europe, but also internationally. And the question was, is it possible to study online because of COVID?
Yeah, in principle, yes, but it depends on the university that you're going, because of course we have to obey with the local regulations. And to give you an idea, if you study in Sweden, you actually have to arrive physically in Sweden at this stage to start your program. Of course, there's not going to be classes as usual like as a year ago, because any country is actually limiting the number of people that can be in one classroom, but still you have to be there. In the case of Spain, students are starting online, and they're expected to be at the UPC, at our partner university, between November and January, depending on the program they follow. because then they will have to present exams and everything. But to start with, some classes are online. But the principle is our programs are not 100% online, and we are offering more of a hybrid learning experience with some parts are online, but the face-to-face component remains very relevant.
So just to give a little bit more of context here, so the hybrid system is also called blended learning, and it's something that developed a lot in the 2020 just because out of the necessity that people are not able to go 100% on campus with all the restrictions. It means that it's only in the beginning. So like for people who sign up, let's say next month, then the study start would be in fall 2021. And if we wouldn't have the situation uncontrolled, then InnoEnergy has got you covered because you could already start in the blended system without losing any time, with saving some money by living at home. And at the same time, you receive the same accredited degree. So there's no disadvantage in going for this option.
Yeah, and employers have no reservations about it because at the end of the day, you're following a degree from a recognized institution. It's just that the current circumstances force you to do part of this online, and yeah, that's what we have to deal with at the moment. Not only us, but every student, every university around the world, I think.
Yeah. And since we're already speaking about online, so if I were to apply in next month to the Renewable Energy Master, after the 28th of September, of course, could I do all the admission process online, or is there something physical I need to do?
You can do it online. You can do everything online. There will be a moment where you have to send certified copies of the original, for example, degree and so on. But that's much later on in the process when you have been admitted, when you haven't decided which program you're going to do, when you have almost enrolled in the program, right? So for now, to start with, you can upload every document online. You're going to need to have an English test because I saw some questions about this coming in. And the solution that we have is that we're accepting the IELTS Home Edition, I believe. IELTS Home Edition because IELTS has created this test so that students who cannot go to a test center can take it. So you need to have the English test passed before the deadline, and the deadline is which opens on the 28th of September. It's going to be the 8th of November.
So that's about 1 month and 1 week of enrollment period in the first round.
But then there will be a second round, and as I was explaining earlier, the rounds, so basically applying for one round or another will be different based on which universities are available, because not every university and not every program is available in all the rounds. If a program is full or if a university cannot really reach their capacity, then they don't participate in the following round, which means if you want to make the university you want and the program that you want, is to apply as early as possible.
So first come, first serve. That's another, I would say, incentive to apply as soon as possible. And I just want to emphasize again what you just said. So EIT InnoEnergy Master's Program accepts as a requirement the IELTS home test. So for people who are not able to go to the test center because of the pandemic, because of other reasons, here's your solution. You can take the IELTS home test just from your computer at home.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's another
good.
question related to this, Tom. That can they give the IELTS indicator? No, they need the actual result. They need they need to take the test, the full test online.
Okay, perfect. So we had another question that was sent to us previously to the live, which was if I was going to study or to work in the EV industry, so the electronic vehicle industry, which master would you recommend me?
Yeah. So we have one program that's very storage, because basically it has one specialization that is electrical mobility, and that this program is unfortunately not offered in Spain. It's offered in Italy, Finland, Portugal, Italy, Finland, and Portugal. Yeah, in those three. But then also there's a possibility of projects in other of the programs like sustainable energy systems, where you can select the topic of the project, electrical mobility, and look for a professor specialized in the topic. So, if you really want to study in Spain and want to still go to mobility, I would say maybe sustainable energy systems is more suitable. Masters.
Yeah. Okay, so like also for the viewers here, if you want to study a program that is not available in Spain, so I think there are a couple of programs that are not available in Spain. It's not a problem. We will still support you with the admission and the visa process. Only the relocation you have to take in your own hands. But as developed sustainable engineers, you will be capable of doing that. And we had another question from Valentina. She asked, can we apply for more than one program?
Yes. So actually, in every round, you can choose programs, at least for the first 2 or 3 rounds. So you will have first and second priority, and within those priorities, you have to select your year 1 and year 2 university, and there you will also have first and second priority, and that we try to, of course, give priority as much as we can. But it could be that based on you to do your first year at a certain university, you have to do it at another one, because the courses that are offered at this other university will complement your bachelor, and then you can transition to the university you're interested in for year 2. But to give you an for masters in sustainable energy systems, you could select University of Spain, year 2. Year 1 university, and then year 2 you can choose I don't know, Finland, for example, as the first option, and the second option is Spain, in case you're not granted Spain as the year 1 or the year 2.
Okay, that's interesting, and that actually is connected to one of the other questions we got beforehand. And it was about the duration of the studies. So as you just explained, the programs at EIT InnoEnergy are for 2 years, and it's typically 2 different countries where you study. It's not in one country or in the other. No, it's in both.
Yeah, that's correct. So it's part of the concept of the program. Mobility is in our DNA, international mobility. So you have to do 1 year at one university and another year at another university. So in the case of Spain, you can do year on the program, I believe, for almost all programs except for nuclear energy. Nuclear, you can only do year 1 in Spain. But for the rest, no, and smart cities, you can only do year 2. Renewable energy and for sustainable energy systems, you can do either year 1 or year 2 in Spain.
Okay, that sounds really great. Do we have any other questions from the live audience? Something that you are dying to know about the master programs at EIT InnoEnergy, or some services from LEAP? Is there anything that you would like to know that Javier and I haven't covered? Okay, there's a question here from Roden. When I choose for a blended study option, how will be the process and when can I come to campus?
Wow, that really depends on each university. So it's not really a choice. It's not that like you can say, okay, I'm just going to stay home for the entire semester or the entire year. Basically, we are starting blended because not every student can travel, but we encourage students to travel. So in the case of Spain, you need to arrive somewhere between November and January, depending on the program that you're following. So you will follow the class normally, but then you have to travel to Barcelona, at least let's say by November, for example. And then you just join classes, not as usual because COVID doesn't allow any university to do as usual, of course, but you will follow in a blended format, following the classes, the face-to-face classes that are allowed by the government in that specific country or region.
So thanks for your answer here. And what I also want to highlight, what we have experienced a lot with LEAP this year is that really a lot of students are going for these blended study options. And the students who signed up with LEAP for these programs had it very easy to come to Spain to study afterwards, because many embassies around the world are closed. They can't tell you the requirements. They will send you away if you're not diligent enough with the visa application process. They might decline it. So this is something where we've got great experience and are more than happy to support the students who decide to come to Spain or come to a different European country. And we have received another question from Valentina. She asks, what programs receive the most applications?
Masters in Renewable Energy is the most popular program because the topic is very relevant. And I think many people want to study and work in this field. And then I would say sustainable energy systems is also very popular.
Okay, that's great. Here's your answer, Valentina. We have another question here from 0 Hour. I'm a graduate civil engineer. What programs would be beneficial for me most to work in the EU?
Civil engineer, the only program that you may be eligible for in our portfolio is the Masters in Energy for Smart Cities. You have some background in electrical engineering topics because the program is very heavy on electrical engineering, of course, like developing systems for buildings and so on. But that we accept civil engineers if they fulfill the right background. That program is offered the first year in Sweden and Belgium, and the second year you can go to Spain. But also every student of the program does a journey in Barcelona that includes a participation in the Smart Cities Expo, which takes place, I believe, in November every year.
Yeah. Thank you for this answer. We've got another question from Ted. He asks, how successful are students enrolling for EIT in completing the course? So I guess this question wants to ask how many people who start the course are actually finishing it?
Yeah, I don't think we have a percentage, but so I've been working with InnoEnergy for the last 2 years, and what I've seen is that from a group of 200 students, every cohort has perhaps 4 or 5 dropouts. So I guess it will be 97, 98% of the students actually complete the course.
So it's safe to say that with almost 100% chance, if you are eligible for the course, if you start the course, you will like it and you will be successful and you will finish it. And I mean, that's a fantastic percentage.
Yeah, it's quite good. Sometimes students, because of extenuating circumstances, they get unfortunately sick or some close relative or so. Yeah, I have been unable to complete the course because they're not, I don't know, they fail a lot of courses or something. That's why it's a bit strict with regards to admission. We look at the GPA, we look at the courses that you followed in your bachelor, because we want to make sure that you can complete the program, of course.
Okay, perfect. There's another question, and I think this one is more for me. If someone does a master's in a different country and he would like to apply for a job in Spain, would LEAP help in that case? Yes, we would. It's going to be a bit challenging since your degree is from outside. It also depends a little bit, but if you have the necessary qualifications, then we will support you with our Career Accelerator program, which is a program that explains you step by step exactly and trains you how to apply for a job in Europe. And we will sit down together with you and help you with the applications and explain to you how to write a European CV and how to make your profile attractive for the type of companies that you want to be attractive for. We have another question here from Cobretz. I've got a Cambridge Advanced English certificate, but I received it more than 2 years ago. I guess, is it still relevant for applying? Is it still relevant for the admission criteria?
Wow, that's a great question, and I'm not sure if we can make an exception depending on, I guess, where he's living, if he followed his studies in English. So I guess there could be some flexibility, but then we need to check with our partner university of the program that you're applying to. So I think the best you can do is to email admissionoffice@energy.com with a copy of your Cambridge certificate to ask them if this would be still valid. Because right now I cannot just tell you if it is or if it isn't.
Mm-hmm. So I just posted this email address in the chat, so just that everybody has it. I haven't seen any more questions coming, and we have already exceeded the time a little bit by 5 minutes, which is absolutely fine. I'm very happy that people are finding our conversation and question and answer interesting. So Javier, is there anything that you have to add before we want to wrap up?
No, I just want to thank everybody for the patience also, because we had some difficulties at the beginning. So you stick with us until the end. Thanks a lot. Thanks to you, Tom. So also to recommend everybody, if you would like to have some support in your application process, you have a lot of questions about our programs, which I'm sure you have. There's many ways that you can contact us, but also Tom and his team are there to help you, guide you, and work with you to make this happen. So don't hesitate to reach out to them. And also you can reach out to our students who are on our website. We have a set of, we're always happy to answer any questions that you may have. Some of them studying in Spain as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's great to hear. Also from my side, very warm thanks to all the audience, to you, Javier, for this really insightful conversation. The European Green Deal, EIT InnoEnergy Masters, career opportunities, mentor programs. It's been a really interesting last hour. And don't forget to apply, because the admissions enrollment period starts already next month. So get your documents sorted. If you have any questions, if you need any support with the application, visa, relocation, anything, career advice, please reach out to us or to InnoEnergy, and we're more than happy to support you.
Yeah, brilliant.
Okay, great. Well, what's to say? I guess I'm going to the beach now. Javier, thanks for your time, and I wish you a wonderful afternoon.
Likewise, thanks a lot, Tom, and thanks everybody. Have a great one.
Yeah, bye-bye.